All right, ladies. So we are officially live. Assalamu alaikum. How you guys doing?
Assalam. Good. Alhamdulillah.
Y'all looking beautiful. So inshallah, take a minute to roll over, but you should see it on the Dope Woman podcast page. Of course, just go ahead and share. So let me go ahead and share. There's a little bit of feedback. Assalamu alaikum, Saudia. You have a little bit of feedback. So inshallah, take a minute to roll over, but you should see it on the Dope Woman podcast page. So you guys got to turn that volume down, whoever's playing the feed. Or your volume down on your phone.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
All right, is all the volume down? Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Hey, I'm going to mute you guys for a second. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. How are you guys? Staci, Akil, Daoud, Saudia, Farasha, all of my beautiful, amazing Muslim Woman podcast family. How are you? I don't know if you see my face. I am ecstatic. I am so happy. We are here, you guys. The season finale of the Dope Muslim Woman podcast. Woo! We are here. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I am so happy. Yes, welcome to the season finale, The Journey to Understanding, a live podcast episode with our amazing sisters, understanding our Muslim women. We are here today. Thank you for being here, everybody. Assalamu alaikum. Please take a moment. Again, this is the last one of the season, so I need each and every one of you to share the episode, okay? This is the last time I'm going to ask you that for a little bit. So go ahead and share the episode. I love you dearly. If somebody can be kind and share it on my page, I would, from the audience, not my guest. That would be great as well. I would really appreciate it. But thank you so much for sharing. All right, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. All right, alhamdulillah. Welcome. I am so happy to be here. I am humbly joined by my co-host. She's back, Medina El-Wakil Dawson. Again, she's been, this is her third time on the show. First time was audio. Second time was with Black Boys Don't Cry. She's back. Medina, just FYI, Medina is my counselor, okay? She's my counselor. Oh. When I get off of the live and things go left, I smile and say, "Assalamu alaikum," and then I call Medina. But Medina El-Wakil Dawson is a school counselor here in Georgia, and mashallah, she's in a doctorate program to expand and become a lot more versatile in her counseling sort of experience. She's the counselor for all of her friends, so she's exceptional at what she does. Thank you for being here, Medina El-Wakil Dawson.
You're very welcome. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
I am now going to introduce my guest. So we are joined back with my other lovely co-host. She's a guest today, but she's been here so many times. She's helped carry season 2 with me alongside the amazing Veronique Cooper and so many other amazing co-hosts. But my beloved friend and counsel, Ziada Dean, she is the owner of Naturally Chic Hair Salon in Baltimore, Maryland. She's also the owner and author of The Natural's Guide to More Tresses, Less Stress. She's on Hair by Ziada. She has so many different amazing things. And I am repping, hold on. Let's take a look. I am repping one of Ziada's products, which you can get that in the chat. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Support one another on the Dope Muslim Women podcast. All right.
I want a mug. But what chocolate?
Thank you. Okay.
Then we have the beloved, beautiful Imani Ahmed. This is someone I knew way childhood, y'all, okay? We from the same place. Imani Ahmed is a nurse. She's a mother, and she's the owner of Be Kendall. Be Kendall is a woman's lifestyle brand. She's out there on Instagram. She has amazing content herself. She supports the Dope Muslim Women podcast. I support her. I love her. Welcome to the show, Imani. And then we have our beloved sister. I've known this sister for a very long time. She's one of the first people that welcomed me when I moved to the city of Atlanta. Sister Yasmin Hamid. She's a California Bay Area native. She's a lover of all things African and God-friendly. She works professionally as a business analyst, and she's the mother of a young adult man, and she's my homie. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the show, Yasmin.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
All right, you guys. So, we're going to get right into it. All right. So this podcast episode is the journey to understanding the women's edition. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. We're going to get right into this discussion. Okay. So we were here yesterday with our brothers, right? I know most of you guys tuned in to the brothers discussion, and we're going to pretty much have a similar dialogue. And we want to kind of talk about, our experience as Muslim women, your experience, and how you guys feel. But I want to begin with a familiar place as far as how we first define womanhood. What does it mean to us? How do we show up as women in the world? So I wanted to first present that question to you. And I'm going to start with Sister Ziada.
Thank you. Well, I believe the definition of womanhood, showing up in the world, is truly being authentically yourself, really becoming comfortable with who you are as a woman and unapologetically showing up in the world and not being afraid to show your light to the world, as well as really understanding and believing in our intuition as a woman, really honing into that gift that is truly God-given to really give us a guidance through this world. But more importantly, it's just really showing up in the world unapologetically and making no excuses for how you show up in the world.
All right, Imani, what do you think?
I actually I couldn't hear her response, but I'll go further with my, so I feel like womanhood is basically, adulthood is growth in general, but womanhood specifically in our life's journey of whether we're mothering or being teachers is just acknowledgement. Ultimately, I feel like accepting our flaws that we're born with, and once you become a woman and you're in your womanhood, you're accepting those flaws and consistently trying to fix them. Just basically self-acknowledgement and growth is what womanhood is. That's what I believe.
Nice. Beautiful. Yasmin.
So womanhood for me would be it's a stage in life you reach when you have shared experiences with a group of women that have similar experiences kind of qualify you for a different stage in life. It would be a stage where you have experienced things that someone younger than you has not, it almost is like a rites of passage kind of thing, that you can speak to other people and they understand that they've been through those things too, and you are now at that stage. So I think I'm at that stage, and I think I'm looking at some beautiful women that have done that as well.
Beautiful. MashaAllah. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate that. I just want to ask you real quick, what did y'all think of the men's description of manhood? Was it?
It was interesting. I thought it's interesting to hear men talk about themselves, because oftentimes we are usually the ones that are talking about them. So when I hear them speaking about themselves, I like to hear that, so you can understand how they are, projecting and thinking of themselves. So I thought it was nice. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought that they were very authentic in their words, especially that they felt they needed more circles for men to really be able to talk about the issues that they, come across, and have someone to bounce these different issues off of and give them, positive feedback so that they can grow more in their lives. So I thought it was really, especially the statistics that he was speaking about, that with Black males and the separation in the homes, a lot of them do not have role models to really emulate what manhood looks like, or not even what being a husband really looks like also. So I thought it was a very great discussion.
Yeah, they did a great job. Medina?
No, I was just going to say, I actually appreciated the fact that you did it that way, and that the brothers came on and were just real. I appreciated that. Like, I was at home like, oh my goodness, did they say that? So I appreciated that.
MashaAllah. Tabarakallah. All right. So I want to ask this, though. We're going to get right into it. When we're talking about, this discussion, we can go all day talking about womanhood and what it's like to be a woman. But this is really about the dynamic between men and women. This is really about our relationships here. That's what the premise of this discussion is. There at times is a breakdown in how, we understand one another. I wanted to ask you, ladies, where do you think we go wrong in our communication and our understanding of one another between our Muslim men, and especially our Black Muslim men. Like, where do we go wrong? And I'm gonna start. Is it okay if I start with you, Yasmin?
Of course, absolutely. I made notes, so I have my top 5 reasons, that I wanted to make sure I kept my notes so I wouldn't miss my words. But my absolute top reason that I believe is an issue is an absence of healthy relationship examples that predate enslavement. Unfortunately, we are always relating to pain when we're thinking about relationships, even if it's, in this country, we're thinking about somebody went through something, you know what I mean? And we are thinking of our beginning stages as being enslaved, and we didn't start there. So I think that that's one of the main problems, that we are using those as examples. Another thing would be lack of collective education and values. When we're not studying together on the same page, having the same understanding of our vision and our goals, we are collectively having issues communicating because of that. I would say another thing is insecurity-driven connections. Unfortunately, people are connecting with each other based on their insecurities, and that's not healthy. And then fourth would be the lack of ongoing connections with committed elders. When you don't see examples of older people who have been successful in a thing that you're striving towards, you don't have something to reach and to model your behavior after. And then finally would be a lack of healthy communication strategies. A lot of times people go to premarital counseling, you know what I mean? And before they got there, they hadn't practiced any type of communication strategies on their own. So when they get there, they're only hearing it for the first time. So if you're getting there and you have an insecure connection and you get to the, marital counseling thing, unfortunately, I don't think that that's a good starting point. So I think, unfortunately, I think we need to start individually having our own healthy communication strategies. And then when we get with brothers, we have some collective strategies that we have, and we're on the same page with them. So if we don't have those, unfortunately, I don't think we'll have healthy relationships.
Powerful. All right, Z.
I would definitely agree with what Yasmin said about it definitely starts from slavery, the way that we were pit against one another, and the Black man was taken out of the home. And that in the beginning started our disconnect as a community and as a couple of what it looks like to be able to depend upon one another. I think that having the assumptions going into relationships or just communicating with Black men, that they are supposed to know exactly what we want, what we think, and what our desires are. And the lack of communication and not having effective communication skills really causes a breakdown, and the ego gets in the way. And I think if we let go of the ego on both sides and really try to come to a common ground of understanding, that if each one is coming into this world with different experiences and some shared experiences, and they have shaped and molded who they are and how they show up in the world now, and to be more sympathetic and empathetic to one another of these different roads that they have gone through, to understand that everyone, first and foremost, is not perfect. Some people may not be able to know how you communicate. They may not communicate the same way that you do. And so you can't be upset that they may not understand exactly what it is you're trying to relate to them. So just being more understanding of one another, empathetic of one another, and really listening to each other, not just wanting to communicate so that you can be heard, but to really listen to what the other person is trying to say to you and have come to an understanding and a common ground for one another. I think that is really, really fall short.
Yeah, absolutely. And Medina, I think that, you would agree that those are things that we definitely need to work on, but would you say we're a little bit far removed from that?
I think we are. I think, so I can only speak for me. It took a while for me to transform into this calm person, into this person who wanted other people to understand me before I didn't care. And so I think, especially in my marriage, but that's a whole nother story. I won't say too much about that because my husband is probably watching. But anyway, but we won't talk about that. Anyways, so I think that one thing that we definitely need to do as women is we need to check ourselves at times. We need to think about how we are showing up in the world and how we are interacting with other people, not just in a relationship where we're supposed to be a certain way, check yourself first and just think about, okay, did I have to snap like that? Did I have to act like I really didn't need him? Because that, that causes a breakdown in the relationship. So that's what I would say about that.
Absolutely. And Imani, we can go 0 to 10. I mean, we can go, not 0 to 10, babe. 0 to 100 in a minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, where do you have any idea, or ideas about where does that come from, and how that impacts our relationships with our men?
I mean, ultimately, I just believe that's a self-discipline aspect that ultimately, beyond the roots of where we came from as far as slavery and the things that affects our community as far as physical and how we deal with our anger and stuff like that, but ultimately not having self-restraint and utilizing the tools from Islam as far as, if you're standing, if you're set, you sit and you lay, you know what I mean? Just implementing different things within ourselves. And it's hard, you know what I mean? Because who else will test you more than your mate? But just, I guess, a constant reminder to yourself. And it's just like a battle within the day. When a day is heightened with, more stimulus as far as anger or trials, then during that day, then you want to try harder, I guess, than the average day, and remind yourself consistently, okay, take it hour by hour, prayer by prayer, to do what you can to stay calm and, just track your thoughts and dhikr and stuff like that. I mean, I feel like those are things that are helpful for myself.
Well, I'm going to go and ask the question. Do Black women have an anger problem? Anybody?
The deep sigh.
Okay, hold on 1 second. 1 second. Oh, Yasmin, go ahead, babe.
It's missing my mind right now who said this, but I mean, to be Black is to be in a constant state of anger in the United States. I mean, it's not just women, it's men too, you know what I mean? But unfortunately, that's our situation here, but we have to be actively not taking on that narrative. I do not accept that I'm an angry person, because if you do, it's almost like an affirmation that you say to yourself. I don't accept that. I accept that I have been through angry situations. I've been through situations that cause me to have anger, but I'm also in control of that at the end of the day, in my home and in my heart. So I don't subscribe to that.
Powerful. Now, ladies, I need to push you, and Medina, feel free to chime in at any point. But I need to ask, because when we started off early on, and I asked men about, like, where does it go wrong, they immediately went to lust, right? So I wanted to kind of, just piggyback off of that for a minute, and let's talk about that a little bit. Because I saw, I saw your little emojis and stuff. But in the comment box, we ain't even going. But I wanted to ask you, ladies, how do you feel? How do you feel as a woman when men say that as one of the primary ways they go wrong is not just, not really just seeing us as objects, and that they want to acquire? And I'm just telling what was said, so no judgment provided. I appreciate the brother's honesty. Anybody want to chime into that perspective, and how do you feel as a woman about that?
Go ahead, Medina.
You sure? Okay. I've heard that a lot. I actually work in an Islamic school. And, you hear, your clothes aren't right, or like, things are too tight, your hijab is not correct, or so on and so forth. So anyways, I believe that's their issue. That's not my issue. You looking at me like you want me is your problem. You got to talk to Allah about that. Not me. That's all I got to say. Okay. Go ahead, yes,
yeah, I think with small things, I kind of agree with you that it's not my business how you feel about me. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's not my business what you're really thinking. But unfortunately, I think in the African American Muslim community, we have been bred to believe that everything we do is wrong, whether it's men or women, whether it's our culture, or whether it's the way that we speak, or how we are reading Quran, or whatever it is that we're doing. We're always meant to believe that it's wrong. But if that's all you spend your time on, then that's what you're going to be focused on. You're looking for the wrongs. So even in courtship, you're looking for what's wrong with this. What can I find that's wrong? As opposed to, who is this person? You know what I mean? What does this person have to offer? what is this person going to bring to my family or to this community? And when you think like that, it becomes your narrative. You're automatically looking for, what is it that I find that's negative about this? So unfortunately, at the end of the day, all you have is something that is I don't think it's powerful to look at somebody as an object. To me, that ends up being negative in the end, because there's nothing else. It's not productive. So that's what I think.
Powerful. Anybody else before we bring this question in? Turn the tables in a minute. Go ahead, Tiana.
Okay. I would say, just to piggyback off it, it's very important for you to do self-development, right? And once you really develop yourself, you're really not concerned with how someone physically looks, and that, you're not looking at them as an object, because you have, really try to deal with your higher self instead of your lower self. Because if you're looking at a woman from just the physicality, then you are really dealing with just the lower self of who you are. So self-evolution and really developing who you are as a whole human being gives you a different lens to look through life. So you are looking at life through a lens of a whole healed human being. I think we really need to talk about healing as a community and as a whole, as individuals going to therapy, really working through these unresolved issues, because really that has to do, again, with insecurities and your ego. If you're really looking at a woman with just all that she can offer, first and foremost, like the other sister said, you shouldn't be concerned with what I have on, how I'm looking, any of that. Let's be concerned with how are we looking in front of our Lord. What am I doing to better myself as a human being? When you really begin to focus on yourself and how you want to develop yourself better in life, you are less concerned with what others are doing and how someone else is looking at you.
Okay. Thank you, lady. All right. So yes, please, Imani.
And I totally agree with what she's saying, because ultimately when you're looking for marriage, say, because we're Muslim, you're looking for marriage to look at a woman as a physical being, opposed to, okay, this is my partner. We know that as women, we are pretty much the warrior behind the shield. The men are the armor, the protectors, and we do a lot of the helping also in the home, as far as just life's decisions, what you do in the home and who's raising your children. So to look at someone as a physical being and that's it, then that is a self-development issue. I agree.
Powerful. All right. So I have this to bring in. So this says, why haven't I ever heard the phrase, you ain't even a woman, when a woman falls short of womanly duties, when men hear it all the time? Be easy on my brother. This is my brother.
He's cool people too. I like him. I don't think so. I'll say this. I don't think that as women, so the narrative, so this is, I think what really irritates me, right, is that as Black women, we come and support Black men from the front, the back, the side. When they are abused by police brutality, we are the first ones in the front line, standing there protesting with you to make sure that your Black body is protected. So I think that, once again, this stems all the way back to slavery. This pitting back and forth with Black women and Black men will constantly keep our community divided. If we continue to speak about what we say to Black men, because you can't clump every Black woman as the same. I don't tell a Black man that if he's not doing his duties, he's falling short as a man. You know exactly what you should do as a man when you get married to a woman, with your roles that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has laid out. The prophet has told you exactly what you're doing. So if that's how you feel, it's because that you feel as though you're falling short, because you know exactly what you should be doing. Most of my girlfriends do not speak to their husbands or their mates in that way. So I think that narrative that we're angry, that we're this, that we're it's played out, because we're not angry. A lot of us are raising Black men, and we pour so much love into our Black male children and our mates that we choose in our life. And I think that sometimes when we realize that we may be a little bitter, I know I put myself in therapy. I don't want to be a bitter Black woman. I really saw how angry certain issues that came out, and a lot of it really came from being hurt in a relationship, and so, and that, I think, again, like that narrative that from women, when they do their womanly duties, Muslim men will just say, I'm gonna get a second wife. That's their solution to, if they feel as though you are not doing what you're supposed to in the home. So I think, again, most Black women that I know, and I know a lot of beautiful Black women, do not come at their men that way. So I think it's maybe the people that he has encountered, but that's not for every Black woman. It's really not.
Okay, thank you, Z.
I'm sorry.
So one of the brothers was like, well, then there's that. That's all I was cracking up. But Medina, I'm gonna bring this one in, and then and then we're gonna get back to our question. Is it okay to be attracted to a woman physically? And I guess he's kind of speaking off of some of the things that you guys were talking about in reference to lower self and all of that. And so I wanted to just chime in and just say that, I mean, me personally as a woman, I recognize the lower self, higher self, but I also do recognize, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designed us. He designed us at a primal nature, both men and women. And then again, he gave us the tools to, like you said, rise above to our higher self, right? So the fact that men are physically attracted to women, we already know that. That's already in that's very clear, right? So I don't think anybody is disputing that. But ladies, please chime in. I don't think anybody's disputing that. I think we're talking about if that's all that you see in that woman, then now you have limited yourself. It's not, because really it's not about us. Alhamdulillah, we'll be okay. We're fine, but you're limiting yourself, your experiences. You're limiting you reaching your higher self if you only can appreciate the physical of the woman. Am I coining that right, ladies, or is there something you want to chime into this question? Anybody? Right?
I agree.
Okay.
No, we're Muslims, so beauty is one of the reasons you can marry. That's something that comes from our faith, you know what I mean? But I agree totally with you. If that's all you're looking at, then it's a hollow relationship, and you're not taking me for what I have to offer outside of that, and that's I'm a skeleton, basically. Yeah. And I have much more to offer than what you see on my outside, And we make it do all the time about asking Allah to make our character what you see on the outside, So I don't want you to only see the outside. I want you to see that beauty on the inside too. Inshallah.
Absolutely.
All right. Medina, go ahead. You can take it for the next.
Okay. So can you help us understand some truths? This is our truths, of course. Men have common beliefs about the behavior of women. Let's break down some common beliefs. A, women care most about the economic status of men. Y'all want to attack that one first, or you want me to read the rest of them?
Can I just say something? So, a lot of times, not all men, y'all laughing, y'all are mad. Y'all better behave up in here.
You got the right group, Sabrina. Keep going.
I hear this a lot from men about, women just want to see what they want to get. They just trying to size me up. They just want to, and you saw how, our dialogue yesterday about this provider piece was kind of, back and forth. People were, strong on that. So what are your feelings, ladies? I really want to hear. I think the men need to know. Let's clear this up.
Can I say go ahead, Medina, go ahead.
You want to go on say something?
I'm sorry.
You go ahead. So I did write something down when I was looking at these questions, right? And so I was thinking, women want stability, period. So whatever that means to them, because that's a subjective thing, stability for me may be different for someone else, but women want stability. And if you cannot provide that, you can go.
Bye-bye.
There you go.
Okay.
Now it's you, Lada.
I think, what he said. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's
Oh, okay. When the brother spoke about the 30%, like when he was speaking about the different percentage that some brothers can, contribute, I just thought, like, if I'm getting married and all you are contributing is 30% and I'm doing 70, then I might as well have a roommate and not even. What's the point? You know what I mean? Like, I don't get how you would even think that that's okay when Allah speaks about what the roles are as a man. And I am raising a Black male, and so I teach him what he should do when he is in a relationship with someone who gets married, and he's seen his father, who is a great provider also. So for me to even accept something like that would show my son that is not a great example. I think that, yes, it's very important for women to understand the man that you choose and what they can contribute financially. But at the same time, as a woman, know your worth, understand your worth, and understand that Yes, okay, you work, but what else are we supposed to do? So should we sit at home and not have a career and create our goals and really follow through on our goals and dreams? You're supposed to do that. So it just because I am successful in that right does not mean that I don't need a mate. But you want someone who is going to definitely meet you right where you are or take you to a higher level. I mean, and that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to do. So, of like minds and like spirits and definitely like goals, really, if we talk about how in the Black community, we really want to create generational wealth, we really need to begin to think about that when we are choosing our mates. You look into the Caucasians, and when they get married, it's almost like a business deal, but they really help one another, and as women, Black women, it's like, oh, I love him, he's great, he's good, all of that is beautiful. And then the reality sets in, and the reason why the majority of the marriages do not work is financial. It's usually financially. So I think we just have to be honest with each other and not be afraid to know that this is what you need and you want stability. If you came from a home that was stable, you are going to look for that in your next mate. You're always going to look for that as a woman in your next mate. If your father was my father was a stable example in my home. I look for that. And when I see instability, it doesn't sit well with me because I know exactly that's a crash course for disaster.
Thank you, Z. Imani?
I just personally believe that that's one of those things that, along with the prior question about women, I guess women being more of a physical aspects and a man's eye is the same thing. We know that you can marry for beauty for the women, but that's not the only thing. Just as, like she said, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. It is according to what the woman desires. So everybody is going to have a different perspective of what it means to provide for them. And of course, that is at the forefront because the law created the man to be, the provider in that aspect. Now times have changed and things, families are becoming more, are working together more as far as financially, but ultimately the man, for the most part, Islamically, is the breadwinner. So just as physical may be at the forefront for a man initially, I think that income is at the forefront for a woman initially. That's one of the major.
So that's keeping it real. That's keeping it 100. Yasmin, I want you to chime in, but I want to bring in Brother Eric's comment, if that's okay. We as men, when interested to meet a sister, seem to have this as an obstacle or box that needs to be checked. And I know the brothers also mentioned something about, your brother was sharing with me that before someone even got to know who he was, they let me see your stats. Let me see a marriage profile. Let me see how much you bring in. And that seems to be the mindset where men don't seem to be, they feel like they're not maybe valued for who they are, just like we feel the same way when it comes to our beauty. So Yasmin, can you add a chime in and maybe?
Yeah, so for me, speaking personally, this is a particular topic for me because it's about a mindset. It's not just about the actual money you have. It's about how you manage money. What is your actual financial stability? What is your vision about that? Because you could be broke and have $2,000 in your pocket because you don't know how to spend, you don't know how to save, you don't know how to invest. So my biggest thing is, how do you think, what is your mindset and where are you getting that information from? And how are you sharing it with me? You know what I mean? Or what is the plan in regards to the finances? And so I could meet a person who has bank with money, but he is poor in his mind, so for me, that would be the reason why I wouldn't get with a person like that if he has a poor mindset first.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because it comes from a place of lack. And so that mindset is a mindset of lack. And then you can never I'm not saying you can never come out of that, but the building is a building block to real true financial success with your partner, and understanding that you two working together in a partnership can create a true legacy. So I agree with her. It is a mindset.
So ladies, I'm going to bring in a question. I'm not going to stream it because it's big and it's going to cover the faces of some of you. But what is mindset? And I'm not sure if we can answer that. Answer this. But what is the mindset of ladies who are good and grown, like 45 years and above? They've established their own life. They're the ones who have their own mortgage and not looking for more children. Are there sisters who look for a just add situation because all they're missing is halal love? So I guess basically, what about the sisters that since they got their own finances together, they just need a man? This is coming from a brother.
I mean, you got to think about it as a relationship. This is a person. It's not a robot that you can pick up from Amazon. You know what I mean? And so if you are marrying at any stage in your life, you need to have some goals and some points about why you're doing it. And you know what I mean? Regardless of what you've acquired in your life, you need to make sure that you are marrying for a purpose. And that purpose does not, if it's only sex, then you're setting yourself up for failure. That's a real person. It's a real relationship, and it should have real goals.
Great point.
Hi, Medina.
Great point. Yes. Oh, sorry. Okay. Next. I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing here? Next myth. B. A man. Sorry, everybody. A man who tries too hard is a red flag.
This thing for me.
We're talking about how you perceive men that are show interest in particular. I just want to clarify. How you perceive men that show interest. How do you determine your red flags, ladies?
Who's going first? Because I'm ready.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So when I saw the question, I mean, I don't think it's a red flag for a man to try hard if I'm interested in him. You know what I mean? I want him to be actively seeking me all the time, if that's my man. You know what I mean? I want to feel pursued. I want to feel like I'm important, and I want to feel like I'm his goal. You know what I mean? Otherwise, that's a no for me. You know what I mean? But it's a red flag if I show no interest and he keeps trying, or stalking me or, whatever. That's a red flag. But I mean, if I'm interested and I express my interest and he's doing the same, that's a green flag for me. I'm cool with that.
Okay. All right. Anybody else want to chime in? And even if you want to pick up on just what you consider some red flags from brothers from the jump. Mani?
I do think that it does depend in that situation. I do think that sometimes it is a red flag for a man, because I do personally believe that the natural, a man's natural, men are naturally prayers. They pray, and they're normally observers also. So I think that it's okay to show interest, but it depends at the speed that he's trying to go, because sometimes that is a personality defect when they try to shove it almost. So I do think that's pretty prevalent in our community, that you'll find a man that's pray. It's not a ease, it's a attack almost. And I do think that specifically does sometimes mean that there's a something else that is the intent, that they have a motive that they're hiding or something like that. So I think it depends at the speed that they're going, showing your interest.
Okay, cool. All right.
Sabria, hold on one second, because that just made me think of something. I think sometimes men have, and this is not for all men, because I'm not going to put that out there, but sometimes men have a tendency, or some men have a tendency to create a relationship in their heads. And that's a problem, okay? Because you are interested in a sister, that doesn't mean she's interested in you. So I just wanted to... Why are you laughing? I'm trying to be serious. You're laughing.
You didn't even know you were playing. They'll claim you and have you, and you didn't even know you were in that.
Exactly.
They begin jealous of you. I'm jealous.
We gotta quit with that. Come on, brothers. I mean, I'm a firm believer in counseling. I am working on being a therapist. Like, come on. Let's get that together.
Let's get back
together. If the person has never talked to you, you are not in a relationship with them. I am so sorry. Next question.
All right, go. Okay. So let's just delve into it. Yasmin, don't get triggered. You know what I mean? I saw your comment yesterday, but we want to know. A lot of men think this. They think Muslim women don't want to hear nothing about polygyny. Don't bring it up. We ain't with it. Like, we hate it. Like, let's clarify. Let's provide some clarification for our beloved men about this issue of polygyny once and for all. Please.
I think my biggest thing is just as a community, I just don't want us to be pegged as that Muslim men are all they want is to have a polygamous relationship, right? And that's the only thing that defines a Muslim man, because we talk about this subject so much, right? And I think that that does a disservice for the beauty of this religion and the equality that this religion has brought for women and men and the relationships. So I think when we focus on it as much as we do, it just dilutes the beauty of how it really could be. And I think oftentimes for most Muslim women, it's just that we have seen some really bad examples of polygamy because, a lot of times they have this, you can have a welfare mentality and you are bringing polygamy and the both wives are on welfare and you really think that you are really holding a household with, where people are not being provided for properly. The children oftentimes may be neglected. And I think that because we have seen, I grew up Muslim, I've seen some really bad examples of polygamy. I've seen some beautiful ones also, but the beautiful ones are really not to the forefront. Too often we've seen the negative of it. And as Muslim women, we do not want to be subjected to a situation that could be detrimental to us in the long run or to our children. So if it's something more that we see a more positive role of it, then many of us will have a more positive outlook on it. It's not that we can't handle someone else being with our husbands or we're jealous or anything like that. Most of the times that's not even the case. It's really how it's being handled. And a lot of times it's coming through the back door. The first wife doesn't know anything about what's going on. So you are disrespecting the relationship that you had before. And a lot of times they're married for years and now you want a new model because you're bored with what you've had before. But she doesn't have the option to get a new model. So therefore, you have to be sensitive and understanding of the first wife who has been there for you and her needs and desires. And I think if we begin to create a better model for it, because many of us are second or third generation into this religion. So a lot of the things we have brought from the dunya into Islam, and we are just really beginning to get a better scope of what this deen is supposed to look like and lived on a daily basis. We are trying to break generational curses. We are trying to break so many chains that are put upon us. I think we need to deal with those first and build real healthy relationships before we add other people in. And our children, they deserve it. The women deserve it. And so do the men. I think they really need to understand that. They deserve better also. And it's a lot on a man. And I know that it sounds beautiful to them and enticing, but let's work on really creating a community first and a strong bond with one woman, one man. And then you can bridge and go further out and create a bigger family.
Thank you, Ziada. Anybody else? Mani? Yes.
I had plenty to say yesterday. My comments yesterday was really because of the frustration of this being the only focus of when we talk to each other. I feel like there's a lot of empty relationships that people don't have anything in common really other than they're physically married and living in the same house. And so we are always having this conversation about polygyny, but what else do we have? What else are we sharing? What else do we have? What else do we know about you? You know what I mean? It really built you up. Other than the fact that you randomly wanted another wife one day. Like, what else is there? And so for me, I've just become very frustrated when we have conversations between men and women in our communities because we just focus on that so much. I don't think it's a one size fits all for any type of relationship, but if it's something that you're doing, it should be something that's complementing your life, period. Any kind of relationship should be a compliment. It shouldn't be something that's taken away. And I think that unfortunately, because there's so many empty relationships, it takes away the little emptiness you had so that you don't have anything left.
That's, very, very reflective. Anyone else before we move on?
Yeah, I do agree completely as far as we as a community. I mean, our family structures have a lot of work to do just in general. Me being 31 and single and just seeing in general a lot of, for myself, learning experiences and just the family dynamic in our community. So to talk about polygamy is like, it's just, it is what is Allah has decreed, but we have to focus on building at the root first. I do think that that's important because our families are kind of in shambles in a sense, not in totality, but we just have a lot of work to do with our family dynamics in our community, just in general.
I would actually, that was really deep. I would actually say that this is interesting that this topic is on here while I'm on here, because I have very strong feelings about it, but I'm not going to bring that up. But I think that when it comes to any type of relationship, people need to think about, do they love themselves and do they value themselves before you put yourself in one relationship, 2, 3, and then 4. Why are you doing that if you don't even love yourself? You don't even know what you can offer. And it's not just about the money. It's not just like, what can you offer emotionally? And if you're not emotionally sound, you can't offer anything.
Mm-hmm. Great point.
Okay. I want to bring in a comment a little bit further up, but I think I want to just honor, our brothers, just like I wanted to honor our sisters yesterday. But he said this, and he's trying to be as respectful as possible. But he said, I can't put it up because it's a big comment, but I listened to the replay of the brothers' session earlier today. They were self-reflective and self-critical. I found it was very therapeutic. Please don't take this negatively, but much of this conversation seems to also put the blame on men. Is it because men are more responsible for the issues we're facing? Hey, this is the type of dialogue we need to have.
I mean, I will say, because I've said a lot of, I've made a lot of comments. So I will say, I am a firm believer in women doing their work. And I say that adamantly. So for me, I mean, I definitely respect the comment, and I understand that if that is the perception. I've been married 16 years, and I adamantly respect my husband and love my husband and will not disrespect my husband. So in saying that, and I don't want to disrespect any man, but in saying that, there are certain things that as women we want and we value. And so I just wanted to put that out there, but I appreciate the comment.
Necessary dialogue.
Yeah, and I think what she spoke is true. I think it's just necessary dialogue, but I don't think that. I think that what we were all trying to say for sure is that it's definitely important to do self-reflection and to, like she said, check yourself. Like go to therapy. Like I said, if I felt bitter, I felt anger, I started to go to therapy to really work on what the root of what was causing me to feel this way. And again, I think we've been speaking about collectively coming together as a community and working at the root of our issues, and really looking at how can I better myself and to better the community as well as to be a better mate. And I think what she spoke about, if you like yourself, then you will definitely find a mate who likes themselves as well. So I think first it starts with us. It definitely starts within and working on becoming a better human being, and then there you can be a better mate as well as you can help your community. So it's not that we're pinpointing what the brothers should do. I think some of the questions were specific in regards to how we relate to men and what we expect of them. So I think sometimes truth may hurt also, and it may hurt when they tell us things as well. And that we both should be reflective on one another, and that we try not to take it as a personal attack. Let's look at both of the dialogues and see how we can grow from it individually and then as a community. Instead of looking at it as an attack, let's try to listen and really take from it, and every side try to grow.
So I want to just say this, that there is an echo from the women saying that they do believe that men are responsible. They're the leaders in society and they set the tone. I think that, just I'm echoing the sisters, but I do think like in our gene, when it comes to these things, we understand very clearly that it always starts within, right? We can't progress and do anything within a relationship or anything like that if we're not constantly self-analyzing and self-improving. And part of this dialogue is to just be honest and raw with it. So even if it sounds a bit raw, these are the necessary first steps to getting us to a place where we can actually come to some sort of mutual understanding. So if you we just have to be open to what we're saying. All right, ladies, I do want to ask this about status and position. We talked about income, but oftentimes it is believed that women pursue men because of their status and position. And a lot of wives, I've had some conversations in recent days, a lot of spouses of men of position feel as though that they're constantly on guard from the attack of other women trying to pursue their husbands and et cetera, and whether it's, some of it don't got nothing to do with polygyny. So let's just be clear. Is that a real issue for us as women? Do we struggle with constantly being drawn to men of status and position?
I think naturally women are, because certain status ultimately means that you have acquired certain discipline. It means that you're a leader. It means that probably finances have come with it. Me per se, I would never. What's off limits is off limits in my brain. But in addition, the world we live in is getting worse. So as far as women pursuing, and that's just a pressure that comes with that lifestyle, I think, being with a man of a certain status. But I think on the other side of the women that are pursuing, to me, that's what makes sense, is because, okay, that means he's a hard worker. That means that he has discipline. That means that he probably has the finances and, all the things that goes along with being a leader, a great leader. So
why would you say you would never, if you don't mind me asking?
I would. That goes into polygamy. That's the other conversation. I'm just not interested.
I just thought you meant you would never pursue a man of status. You would never pursue a man of status?
No, a man of status that is married. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, because you kind of added that in there, like saying that they pursue, the women are kind of uncomfortable with it. So no, I'm saying as far as that, yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll go. I think this has a lot to do with ego-driven relationships, when people are looking for things that satisfy their egos first. So I think that when you're looking for someone for status first, it speaks about a different desire. I don't think it has anything to do with his actual leadership. It's your assumptions of what he has the ability to do based on what you are looking for your ego to be satisfied. And that's short-lived all the time. It doesn't last long, especially if a person doesn't have any experience, the person you're seeking. Oftentimes, people assume just because someone's in a leadership position that they've done things that another leader has done, and they're making assumptions, just thinking that one person did that, so the other person must have done it too. And then when they fall short, that's when the relationship starts to fail. Mm-hmm. But you can't put that on a person, you know what I mean? I don't think that's good.
SubhanAllah. All right, so ladies, we need to just get right to it. I need to hear from each and every one of you, and I know I'm hearing echo, but what do you want your men to know, and what do you need from them? And I want to hear from each and every one of you. Ziada, can you start?
I guess first and foremost, I want for our men to know that we are for them. We really are. I truly love Black men. And my love and admiration for Black men comes from my love and admiration for my Black father, my Black Muslim father, who was a great provider, who stayed in the home and never left. My mother was disabled and she was in a wheelchair. My father never took a second wife. My father told me that if I left, I would have to leave that responsibility for another man to raise my daughter. And I did not want that. So my love and admiration for Black men starts with my father. And I have a Black male son, and I love and adore my son. And I married Black men. And despite any kind of issues that Black men may have, I know where some of those issues stem from. And most of it stems from our experiences in slavery, and just the systematic racism that we deal with on a daily basis in America causes any Black person to feel enraged on a daily basis, because you are dealt with so many different obstacles on a daily basis. But we truly support Black men. we admire their strength. I really do, because it's so much. I see how the world is beginning to look at my son at 14 as almost an imminent threat just by his presence in his Black body. And so I can't imagine how that feels like as a grown Black man in society, that you are a threat just by stepping outside of this door. So that being said, I am empathetic to Black men and their daily causes of what they may experience. So just that, to know that we are really there for them, we are not their enemy, and the more we understand that we really love and respect them. I don't believe in disrespecting the Black man, but I don't want to be disrespected either. But I don't believe in that, because it just causes more of the breakdown of communication and community. And for me, what I need in the Black man is consistency, honesty, sincerity, and have a true, pure heart and good intentions toward me. And that's really important for me. Just someone who's true and very authentic, and the words that he says is how he lives his life, that he loves his Lord, and that he wants to please his Lord, because if he wants to please his Lord, then he would be a good fit, and he would be someone who would treat me kindly, because he is fearful of how he may be perceived in front of his Lord's eyes. So that is definitely what I need. And a great communicator and someone who has goals.
Thank you, Ziada. Thank you, Ziada. I'm going to go ahead and bring you in, Imani. Sorry, 1 second. Imani, 1 second. Okay. Imani,
I'm sorry. I just want, I would love Black men to know that is a reason
it's just
why
men, and it doesn't have to be specific to Black men. I just want to say it doesn't have it could be Muslim men, or, I mean, yeah, because that's okay.
Men are significant because, you know, Allah created them as leaders. They're leaders, they're protectors, they have great roles, as do the women. But in the world, they, you know, they just have such great roles of protection, and is a reason why they have such great roles. Verbatim. Literally, it's just so, I would love for them to know that, you know, it's important for us to hold them down, and I support you guys. And for myself, I think that men should be kind and gentle with women because we're sensitive. That's the reality, is the way, I think if we all understood the way each other was created, then we will all be joined in tranquility. So I do think that it's important for us to show respect to them, and them show respect to us. And yeah.
Okay, thank you, Imani. And I'm going to go on to Yasmin.
Okay, so I usually try to offer a good, then a negative. So I'm gonna start with a good. So I support Black men. This message directly to our men, you know, because I'm rooting for us, you know, first. And so I'll say that we are interested and willing to be partners, you know, and strong partners. We're interested in being there with you, you know, for the long run. We're interested in family, you know, that extends beyond that marriage very quick at the masjid. You know, a lot of people are getting married very quick just because they're saying this is what you're supposed to do, and not thinking about the impact of your family, or how this impacts the community, or what this relationship is going to do for the long run. So just know that there's a lot of us that are thinking about those things, you know, and we are interested in supporting you and making sure that you're there with us for the long run. And so for my negative, I want to say that we're a little frustrated with a lot of you hiding behind empty religious behaviors that you don't really understand when you lack individuality or character, you know, that you've built up in your life. And so sometimes you seem a little bit shallow or empty because those behaviors are not reflective of much. It doesn't really reflect who you really are. It just sounds like empty sayings and empty behaviors. So unfortunately, you know, that's the case for us, and we're looking for that to be a change. You know, we're looking for something different. And so yesterday, when you may have heard of a few of us complaining in the comments, it's because we don't know who you are outside of those empty sayings. You know, we don't know much about you as a person, you know, and we're interested in getting to know you as a person and as a man, you know, that you are. you know, and so that's the thing. And then finally, I'll say, us as Black women, we are not dumping grounds for pain and sadness and anger. You know, sometimes when I see our community, our men are looking outside of the community, maybe for a woman who's not African, because they believe she's bringing something that's good, which automatically makes me assume that you think that I'm bringing something bad. And so I don't like that. That's the stuff I don't like. So I want that to stop.
SubhanAllah. Yeah. Okay, so Medina, go ahead and chime in, and then we got oh gosh, I'm sorry. And then we have some questions.
You want me to chime in? Okay, so so I've been thinking about this. What do I want men to know? I think that if how do I want to word this where it's not like negative? Okay, I think that if men understand that women, or that me, if I'm trying to process something, it's not about you and it's not against you. I'm not against you. So so if I'm going through something, if I like I said, maybe processing childhood, maybe processing some event that I had with another man or something, don't take it as if I'm attacking you, because it's not about you. It's about me trying to process. So I think that's one thing. I guess that's all I got, because I had a lot of stuff in my head, but I was like, that's too much. That's gonna go too far. So it's okay.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna chime in, and basically, like, it was a very powerful statement that was made. I really had chills. You know, I keep communicating that I think at the core, as women, in spite of, you know, all that's going on with the differences and the lack of communication, there is a fundamental need to honor, respect, and love our men. That's at the core of it. And that's always the intention, right? You know, and I think it's really important to understand, because I think we over talk the experience of our Black men in particular, and their history and how their trauma, intergenerational trauma, what it looks like, and that's a relevant topic. But for the Black woman, you know, if we dated back, we know our history doesn't start as slavery, and I hate to always have that as a starting place. But since we talked about it, it's really important to also understand our trauma and where we come from as women, because it's also, we're asked, I think it was mentioned yesterday, to have this understanding because of it. Our mothers, grandmothers were raped. Their bodies weren't theirs. They were seen as objects of someone's physical needs only. So when you show up to us in that way, do you understand how triggering that is? Whether we were raped or not, that's in our blood. It's in our DNA. So I think it's really important to understand, you know, why women are triggered by some of these topics. Even a topic like polygyny. Why is it triggering? Because at times women feel like objects. You don't even know nothing about me, and you're talking about acquiring something else. Now, I'm not against anything, but I'm telling you how it's being processed to us. We have our own, you know, triggers, and you know what our ancestors had to do? We had to develop manipulative traits at times, and not in a negative way, to sort of deal with that trauma. You know, how do you process handing your teenage daughter over to the slave master? What do you think that does? How does that show up for us in the relationships? So I think it's really important that we acknowledge that, and we also acknowledge how you know, as men, I want you guys to also understand that. In addition to that, we as women are constantly establishing our value. You know, we've you know, since this tragedy has happened to us, we are constantly in need of our value. So us being valued is one of the most essential things that you can give us. This is just my opinion. I'm getting off my soapbox. All right, so let's go to the questions, ladies. And I'm going to unmute all of you guys.
That was powerful, Sabrina. Wow. That was. I think
it's important because we don't never acknowledge what's happened to our bodies.
It's generational trauma.
We haven't acknowledged that. And yet that's what we're fixing products.
And it just passed down. It's passed down in the womb, you know, from generation to generation. And it's something that's it's very true. You are so right. I mean, that piece is very important, and it's something I think that we ignore the trauma that it has caused us, and how it can be very triggering.
So let me
and I say,
I'm going to add up a question, please.
Just at the very end, we acknowledge that this trauma exists, but our men should know that we are interested in changing that narrative. We're actively aware of it and actively making a change, you know, within ourselves.
Absolutely.
And to be part
Absolutely.
That doesn't do that narrative. So we need you also to be actively involved in changing the narrative, so that it's no longer our generational curse.
Like the African proverb said, we go further together instead of apart. And we really have to understand it takes the both of us to really be in this fight together as a whole unit. You know, we come together and make a whole unit.
Right.
Absolutely. 100%. Thank you for saying that, Yasmin. You're absolutely right. All right, let's get to the questions. The gender issues in the general Black community. Do we find those same issues in the Black Muslim community? Anyone can take it.
What's the gender issues?
I don't understand that.
I mean, gender benders? Like, what are we talking about exactly? When you say gender issues, what are we talking about?
Gender identity, homosexuality, or what are you talking about? I don't understand.
The dichotomy between the man and the woman, like the strife, the tension that exists in the Black community. Does it also roll over in the Black Muslim community?
Yeah, we're Black people. We got the same stuff. I don't think it misses over you just because you said la ilaha illallah. I mean, you're an African born in the United States. So
absolutely. All right, guys. So a single brother wants to know, when a brother is interested, how do you want him to inquire regarding your availability and interests?
Find your wali.
Right.
As the married woman, is there a single woman?
Sorry.
You're right.
I mean, right. Islamically, that's what they should do, you know. But I mean, if he's interested, he can respectfully come and actually talk to the woman and see whether or not she's available. You know, respectfully, like don't press up on her, like, you know, but just, you know, just ask her, you know, excuse me, I was wondering whether or not you were single, or, you know, and if you are, can I, you know, speak to your wali, you know, and see how we can go about getting to know one another. But
yeah, I think my answer for this is going against the grain a little, but I'm gonna be honest, you know, as a person that's divorced and single, sometimes honestly, I felt like it was kind of whack if a dude just went straight to my wali without stepping to me first. You know, I'm a person, you know what I mean? I speak for myself in a sense, you know what I mean? Although, you know, my brother is my wali, at the same time, you're trying to get with me, not him.
Right.
So the thing is at the end of the day, I have a lot of respect for a man who can respectfully step to me, you know what I mean, and be very honest about what his interest is, and then say and let me know who your wali is, you know what I mean. Let me know he's really serious. But I'm a grown woman, you know what I mean, and I'm a person who represents myself after, you know, all of those things are done. So most of the men that have won in my case have been, you know, one that stepped to me and then I sent them to my wali.
Yeah, same here.
So Yasmin, you know I'm out the game. I've been out the game for a long time, okay? That was a long time ago. And I'm pretty sure that's not even how it happened, but we're not going to move past that.
We ain't telling no secrets. But can I just say, and I mean, Imani, I want you to chime in too, but I also kind of concur. I mean, for me personally, I don't really like when men are just like, you know, I want to marry you. And it's like, why? I always be like, why? I mean, you don't know me.
Yeah, no.
So why you want to marry me?
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? So I mean, to me, it's at this point and stage in my life, it's a bit off-putting. And I think back in the day, Medina, you know, when we were coming up, that was the way. Like, I want to marry her. Let me go to your wali. Like, that was what it was. And we were like, oh my gosh, she want to marry me. You know, but now it's like, but you don't know me.
I think because we've been married, if you've been married before, right? So you've been down that road before, you know exactly what marriage feels like, what it looks like, what, so when you come out of a marriage and you have learned the lessons of that marriage and you have really, took the time to heal and get to know who you are as a human being, you really want substance in the next relationship, or you especially if you've grown, you have definitely want someone who meets you where you at your growth. And so wanting get, like Yasmin said, I'm a human being. I'm a whole human being. And I want you to get to know who I am first and then decide, or we both decide, okay, let's see if we want to get married. I don't want you to come off the bat like I want to marry you. Like you said, Sabria, you don't even know me. I could be crazy. Why would you, you're just looking at me thinking, oh, she's pretty, I think I want to talk to her. Or, they think she's pretty, she's single. Let me talk to her before any brother gets to her, right? Because they love that conquest, right? So get to know the person. And I think that oftentimes in Muslim marriages, that's why it fails. We rush too soon to get married. We don't know each other. We don't ask the correct questions. And now you in a straight crap show in this marriage, and you're like, what the happened? And so I think that we need to be honest with each other. We're adults. It's true. We're adults, and we really need to get to know each other. Take the process of getting to know somebody, like a year or so. It's fine. It's okay. Like, get to know somebody. You shouldn't be 3 months and you really know that person. You haven't even seen them in different seasons. And I believe that you should see someone in different seasons. See that, look at how she gets angry. See how I am in adversity. Are you still gonna be attracted to me when you see that I'm going through something and how I respond to it? And see the same for him. How does he respond in adversity? How does he respond when he's angry? All of those things are really important to have. Like, this sister has beautiful 16-year marriage. I know it took work. You know what I mean? And so I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. I believe it.
I think it's important also that we're talking about our families coming together. It's not just two people, you know what I mean? So when a man is stepping to you, he should also be thinking about his family and your family as well. You know what I mean? So for me, that's very attractive. If a man is not just thinking about, what he's bringing to me, but also what he's bringing to my family and what his family brings to mine as well.
That's true.
So she agrees. All right, so real quick, and Imani, I want to pull you in for this. So it says some men say that they know immediately when they want the woman to be their wife. What do you think? You think that's possible?
I've heard that before, and as an adult, I kind of understand where it comes from. I guess a person's aura could give off wifely a disposition, or their energy is like, you could kind of get a good sense of who you think someone is, but ultimately you still don't know if you want to marry them, because people live different lives. You know what I mean? Like, people have their inside home struggles, or their struggles behind doors that they may not disclose. So I understand having an idea. You can be interested in someone based off of their energy, but you can't want to marry someone, I don't believe, by seeing their disposition, unless you've been around them on several occasions.
So our beloved guest, Brother Nasheed, which one of my friends coined him as Be Real. They called him Be Real. That was his nickname. He said a year. Like, he kind of like, y'all crazy.
I think sometimes when we're thinking about these fast marriages, we are getting those examples from communities with people that have grown up together. You've seen them, you know how they function, you know their families, you know their status, you know a lot about them already. But oftentimes in our communities, we don't have the same thing. You just got people that just showed up. This brother just showed up. He looks good. Oh, she looks good. Let's get married. But you have no idea anything about them. But if you're in a community where you guys have grown up together, it's a little different,
Yeah.
So been here is a long time. It's just, we haven't been in situations where we've learned how to control ourselves. And so people are so afraid of their lust and their lower natures. So you don't know how to function around a man without thinking about sex. You know what I mean? But I can proudly say that I don't feel fear of sitting and talking to a man, because I'm not thinking about sex as the first thing. I'm thinking about what is the benefit of this relationship? You know what I mean? So if that takes, however much time, I'm interested in investing in that You know, I mean, if I don't know anything about him.
I know. Sabrina and I were.
It's horrible. It's horrible out here as a single Muslim brother. That's what the brother said. I hope he didn't discourage you, brother.
What's horrible?
Women say the same thing, though.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I feel like for Muslim men, like, yeah, that's what I mean, because I think for Muslim men, like, they have the option of non-Muslim women and Muslim women, right? So they have multiple choices. And for me, I feel like Muslim men are, non-Muslim women love Muslim men. They love them because I think they believe in that, you know, that they're disciplined and they know that most Muslim men are going to marry them. So it's an attraction for them. So I'm sorry that he's experiencing this, but I feel as though that it's hard for Muslim women. It really is, because a lot of times we know, like, if for just even just as a Black woman, we are the least protected women in society, you know, and so for us it's even harder because you can really think that this brother is sincere and they don't have their best intentions towards you. So I think, like even Yasmin said, a year can seem like a long time for some people. But like she said, if you're coming from a community where you grew up with one another, and you know one another, you know their parents and things like that nature, then you have some things that can link you to this person to know the character of who they are. But if you don't have that, you really need to sit with the person and really get to know them. And if you have really worked on your higher self, you're not thinking solely on just sexual desires. That is, and the older you become, that's not at the forefront of everything, you know, like, oh gosh, I want to, it's more than just that, because you're a human being.
Absolutely. Thank you, Z. We are definitely out of time, you guys. I did just want to make this last point with the sister. She said, so how are you supposed to be talking and getting to know someone a whole year, not married? The purpose of marriage is to learn each other through marriage. Yeah, the first year may be rough, but not necessarily end it all and run. And the other comment, she said, the key is to find serious-minded Muslims who are sound on their deen and understand the sanctuary of marriage and not play around with it. But sis, I think you're making the point. Serious-minded Muslims who are sound in their deen. From our community, what's the scope? What's the measuring stick? How do we know that? Because they come to the masjid. So I think that's what the sisters are speaking to, is that in just the way our communities are developed here, and we're talking specific to the African American community, we don't know each other. We don't know if anybody's a sound Muslim. We just don't know that. So I think that's what they were speaking to. And so whether it's a year or not, that's all relative. That's up to the individual. But I think they're speaking to the greater idea of making sure before you enter into a union that you've established, that you've identified that this person is sound-minded. Because we have a serious mental health problem, ladies. We didn't even get into that. We have a serious mental health problem in our communities. And you know, it's easy to come into Islam and put on a whole get up and it can be covered. So it's important for us to take the time. All right, ladies, I do have to come to the end. I do want to make sure that we leave off with all you guys giving your final sort of point, your final message to the audience. So we're going to go around and do that. I'm going to go ahead and start with Imani, if that's okay. Any last final thoughts or words before we get out of here?
I just want to say thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. And I do believe that as a Muslim woman, as a being in the community and searching for a spouse, whether it's me or someone else, and people say that, you know, there isn't anyone or it's hard, but ultimately Allah provides, right? So I've had a previous marriage, and I know that Allah sends signs. I don't think it's hard and I'm single, but I don't think it's hard because I know that Allah will send you who's perfect for you. So I don't think it's a way for people to dip and dodge around and manipulate without Allah sending signs and us accepting them or denying them. Either way, you either learn something and you move forward, but ultimately it's not hard. The world is becoming a different place, but we are Muslims and we're believers, and Allah created good. So there's going to be other fellow good people in the world like yourself. So I think is a way to dodge and dip the crazies.
Yeah.
Inshallah, with the will of Allah. So
Imani, I see your inbox tonight. But anyway, go ahead. Jasmine, go ahead and chime in. Jasmine, go ahead, baby girl.
I would say I'm grateful to have been here as well. You know what I mean? I've been divorced and I know a little bit about relationships. I'll say to our men, I'm grateful that you all are listening, you know, that we're doing this, having healthy dialogue. That's one of the first steps to healthy relationships. I'm interested in this more, you know what I mean? Finding other ways that we can communicate and find out more about each other. I want you all to know that we are always paying attention and watching, you know, and observing your behavior, how you treat your family, you know, how you treat yourself in that way. And then for these people who are wondering about what you can be talking about in this year or whatever the time frame that, you know, you're spending, I always recommend when people get to meet someone new that you have a conversation about the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful. You write a list about those things about yourself, the good things, the bad things, the beautiful things, and, you know, whatever you think you want to add to that list, and exchange it with the person that you're interested in talking to. And you'll find that it's interesting when you're writing those things about yourself. It's difficult. It's different when you're writing, you know, the beautiful and the good about someone else. But when you're writing those things about yourself, you learn a lot about what you have to offer and what you need to work on. So I think that's a nice activity, you know, for someone who's interested in getting to know someone else for partnership. And I want to thank you again, Sabria, for having me. And inshallah, this leads to something productive. Inshallah.
Can't hear you. I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry, baby.
Okay. So first, I wanted to say thank you. I'm honored to end your season 3 on your show. And just to take away would be, I think that oftentimes we just get caught up in the semantics of everything. And I think that we first need to remember the beauty that Islam presents for all of us. And that it's a beautiful model for all of us to follow. And it's simplistic in its way. And we shouldn't complicate this beautiful religion. And I think that one recipe for one person may not work for the other person, but we don't need to be critical of someone else's journey as to how they find love again. And it is truly finding courage to fall in love with someone again when your heart has been hurt, and to trust and believe that this will not be the outcome in a new relationship. That really takes courage. And it takes faith also, faith in the unseen, which Allah speaks about. So faith in the unseen encompasses many things. And that in itself is love and relationships, that you really believe that this is what Allah wants for you and this person is good for you, and you have the faith that it'll work out the way they're supposed to. Then it also to take away for our men that we love you, we believe in you, we support you, we want the best for you. And sometimes that we can be a little critical of what that looks like, because we know that you have it in yourself to be strong, beautiful Black men. And we know this because the way that society comes at you, they understand your strength and your power. And we're here for you, we support you, and for the community, for us to really get radical first Black love really starts at home. So starting to create a beautiful home for our children and our families, and strong family structures, and creating generational wealth will be what will help our community go further.
SubhanAllah. Thank you, babe. I appreciate you, Ziada, and everything that you did this season. Alhamdulillah. All right, now I'm gonna go to Medina. Medina, you can end us off right with just your final thoughts, and then guys, stick around for just a second. I have some quick announcements.
All righty. I just want people to know that we are flawed. None of us are perfect. And in saying that, I think we all have to I say it all the time, so I'm gonna say it again. We all have to do our work on ourselves. We all have to figure out what we want and what our goals are, men and women. And until we do that, can we really be successful? I'm not sure. May Allah help us all.
Amen. Bismillah. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, audience members. Before you leave, I just want to say this is the season finale. I'm just going to meet everybody. Sorry. This is our season finale, so I'm super humbled. Thank you for riding season 2 with us. It was super fun. I wanted to announce the winners of our competition, which is Sister Ashley. Sister Esra, and Sister Saudia. So these are the 3 sisters. I know I said 4, but it's 5 of y'all that have won. I'll hit you up in the inbox with your rewards. So thank you. Thank you to the audience members. Again, I love and honor you. Remember, we are going on a season break, but I did want to just clarify that the Dope Muslim Woman podcast isn't going anywhere. We are still going to bring you the content. We're coming back in season 3. We are going to be here, and we are an original Dope Muslim Woman podcast owned platform. During the hiatus, you will see some content coming through our platform from other places, but it's still aligned with our values. But again, the Dope Muslim Woman podcast isn't going anywhere. We are coming back for season 3 very soon and going to bring you even more dialogue and more fire. I want to now take a moment to just honor our guests. First and foremost, Sister Medina, thank you for hosting with me. I honor you. I respect you. I love you as my friend, as my advisor. Thank you so much for being here and supporting me.
Anytime. Thank you so much for having me.
Ziada Dean, thank you for honoring me with your presence and your advice and your grace the entire season 2. I don't know where I would be without you. May Allah bless and reward you. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah. I mean, it was truly my pleasure.
And by the way, ladies and gents, please support our sister. Okay, Hair by Ziada.
Thank you, Hair by Ziada. Thank you. Yes, I am putting it in the comments. I'm putting it in the comments. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm so honored. Thank you.
And Sister Yasmin, thank you so much for just being an integral part of my village. Thank you for being sincere and authentic and honest all the time. Thank you for coming back on the Dope Muslim Woman podcast. I appreciate you and I honor you.
Thank you. Alhamdulillah. Anytime.
And Imani, it's so good to see you. Thank you so much. And like I said, I know me and Imani go way back. This is a beautiful, dope human being. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you.
Shukran for having me. May Allah bless your channel with much success. You're doing an amazing job. Thank
you, everybody. I love you guys so much. May Allah bless all of you guys. Inshallah, may Allah keep us all in His good grace. I'm so emotional. So much has happened season 2. You guys saw me literally heartbroken and healed all within a season. SubhanAllah. And it's because of the grace and mercy of all of you guys, the sincere hearts of the other human beings. I know, Sister Yasmin, you also went through a tragic loss. This is a tough time for all of us. Just know that we are here for one another. I just want to encourage all of us to continue to align with sincere hearts, continue to uplift one another. Sisters, we are each other's allies. We are not to be against each other. We are not in competition with one another. I love you. I love you. Okay? So I want to just say that, brothers, I honor and respect you no matter where you are, no matter what space you're coming from. I honor and respect you. You always have a place on the Dope Muslim Woman podcast. Your voice always matters. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you so much. Until next time, see you on season 3. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you.
Alaikum.
Alaikum salam.